"Ma'am, this isn't my ride." Imani Brooks realized it 1 second too late. The black sedan door had already closed behind her. She was exhausted, still wearing her black and white maid uniform beneath a gray coat, clutching a pharmacy bag. Rain streaked across the tinted windows. The man beside her looked up from his phone. Dark suit. Not a driver. Imani grabbed the door handle. "Please unlock this." The man raised both hands. "Of course." He tapped the partition. "Daniel, pull over." The sedan stopped beneath a hotel awning. The rear door unlocked. Imani stepped halfway out, then froze. Across the street, 2 men stood beneath a bus shelter. They had been outside the pharmacy 10 minutes earlier. Now they were staring directly at her. The stranger noticed. "Do you know them?" "No." "Are you sure?" Imani looked again. One man lifted his phone. The other started walking toward the sedan. The stranger leaned forward. "Get back in." Imani hesitated. "Why?" "Because they weren't watching the car." He looked at her. "They were watching you." Hours later, billionaire Nathan Cole's fiancée watched that sedan enter Cole Manor. When she saw who stepped out beside her new black maid, her champagne glass slipped. 12 hours earlier, Imani had started her first day at Cole Manor. She had accepted the position for the pay, the staff room and privacy. 6 weeks earlier, someone had broken into her apartment. Nothing valuable was stolen. Only one old envelope disappeared. The envelope had belonged to her father. He had died when Imani was 16, leaving a silver watch, 3 photographs and 1 warning. Some doors are safer closed. Imani never understood what he meant. Until someone started looking for the envelope. She moved twice, changed her number, then found the housekeeping vacancy at Cole Manor. The estate sat behind iron gates, stone walls, and enough cameras to make Imani feel safe. Mrs. Ellis showed her the kitchens, staff staircase, and private west wing. "One rule," Mrs. Ellis said. "Never enter Mr. Cole's study unless he asks." Imani nodded. "And Ms. Celeste?" "His fiancée." Mrs. Ellis paused. "Do exactly what she asks. And don't take anything personally." Imani understood that warning by breakfast. Celeste Marlowe entered the kitchen wearing a cream silk robe and looked Imani over slowly. "You're the replacement." "Yes, ma'am." "You're younger than the last one." Imani said nothing. Celeste's gaze moved to her hands. "No acrylic nails." "No." "Good. I hate finding cheap glitter on expensive furniture." Mrs. Ellis looked down. Imani simply answered, "Understood." That seemed to disappoint Celeste. By noon, Imani had remade a perfect bed, polished an unused staircase, and moved 6 flower arrangements because Celeste changed her mind. Imani didn't complain. She had survived worse. At 4:30, Nathan Cole returned unexpectedly. Imani heard his voice before she saw him. "Who moved the orchids?" Celeste answered from the drawing room. "The new maid." Nathan appeared in the hallway. His dark hair was damp from rain, but Imani did not recognize him. He looked at the flowers, then at Imani. "They look better there." Celeste smiled tightly. "Exactly what I said." Imani noticed Mrs. Ellis glance at her. Nathan did too. His expression changed slightly. "Did you choose that arrangement?" Imani answered honestly. "Yes, sir." Celeste's smile disappeared. Nathan nodded. "Good eye." 2 words. That was all. But Celeste watched Imani differently after that. At 7, Celeste accused Imani of being too familiar with Nathan. At 8:15, she sent her across town for a prescription. "In this weather?" Mrs. Ellis asked. Celeste didn't look up from her phone. "She's being paid." Imani took the estate umbrella and left. The pharmacy was almost empty. Imani collected the prescription and stepped into the rain. That was when she noticed a man in a gray jacket by the bus shelter. He looked away when she noticed him. A second man appeared half a block later, matching her pace. Imani crossed the street. He crossed too. Her pulse quickened. She pulled out her phone. 3% battery. No rideshare accepted the request. Then a black sedan rolled toward the curb. The plate began with the same letters shown on her rideshare app. Imani opened the rear door without checking the rest. She climbed inside and found Nathan Cole sitting beside her. Only she still didn't know he was Nathan Cole. In the car, the stranger watched the two men approaching. "Daniel," he said, "drive." The sedan pulled away. Imani looked at him. "You don't have to do this." "Do what?" "Rescue strangers who climb into your car." He almost smiled. "You climbed into mine." "That was an accident." "So was being followed." Imani looked out the window. "I don't know." The stranger studied her pharmacy bag. "Are you sick?" "No. It's not mine." She immediately regretted answering. He didn't press. "Where were you going?" "Cole Manor." That finally changed his expression. "You work there." "Started today." "What do you do?" "Housekeeping." He leaned back. "Interesting." "What?" "Nothing." Imani looked at him suspiciously. "You know the family?" "A little." She sighed. "Then maybe you can tell me if the fiancé is always like that." The driver coughed. The stranger glanced toward the partition. "Like what?" "Forget it." "No. Now I'm curious." Imani shook her head. "I need the job." "That bad?" "Yes." He waited. She did not explain. Instead she asked, "What's your name?" "Nathan." Her eyes narrowed. "Nathan what?" "Cole." Silence. Imani slowly turned toward him. The billionaire whose house she cleaned sat beside her. "Oh no." Nathan smiled for the first time. "That sounds encouraging. I complained about your fiancé." "You almost complained." "I was thinking it loudly." "That counts." Imani covered her face. "Please just let me disappear." Nathan's smile faded when he saw the men's car behind them. A dark SUV had taken the same 3 turns. Daniel noticed too. "We're being followed." Imani lowered her hands. The SUV accelerated. Nathan looked at her. "Who are you, Imani?" Her blood went cold. "I never told you my name." Nathan held up the pharmacy receipt. It was printed there. Before she could answer, the SUV pulled alongside them. The passenger window lowered. Camera flashed. Then the SUV turned away. Nathan's phone buzzed immediately. A photograph appeared. Imani getting into his car. Under was one message. "She has the watch." Nathan looked at Imani's wrist. Her father's silver watch was visible beneath her sleeve. His face changed completely. "Where did you get that?" "My father." Nathan stared at the watch. "What was his name?" Imani hesitated. "Samuel Brooks." Nathan went pale. The sedan passed through Cole Manor's gates. Neither of them noticed the gate camera. Celeste was standing beneath the front portico. She saw Nathan first, then Imani, then the silver watch. The color drained from her face. Nathan stepped out. Imani followed. Celeste whispered one word. "Samuel." Imani stopped. "You knew my father." Celeste looked at Nathan. Nathan looked back at her. And neither answered. Then Imani's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. A man whispered, "If Celeste sees the watch, don't go inside." Imani looked toward the mansion. Too late. Celeste was already walking toward her. Celeste kept walking toward Imani. Nathan stepped between them. "Stop." Celeste's gaze stayed fixed on the silver watch. "Where did she get that?" "You heard her," Nathan said. "It belonged to her father." Celeste looked at Imani. "Samuel Brooks is dead." Imani's fingers closed around the watch. "You knew him." Celeste ignored the question. Nathan didn't. "How?" Then Mrs. Ellis opened the front door. "Sir." Nathan looked at the mansion. "Lock the gates. Nobody leaves." Celeste laughed nervously. "You're being dramatic." Nathan held up his phone and showed her the message. "She has the watch." Celeste's face changed again. Imani noticed. You know who sent that? No. Then why are you scared? I'm not. The unknown caller's warning echoed in Imani's head. Don't go inside. Too late. Nathan turned to her. Who called you? I don't know. What did he say? Imani hesitated. He said if Celeste saw the watch, I shouldn't go inside. Celeste backed toward the door. Nathan caught it. You're not disappearing until you explain this. Celeste's voice sharpened. You think she's innocent because she looks frightened? I think someone followed her, photographed her, and knew about a watch you apparently recognize. Nathan pointed toward the drawing room. Inside. They entered. Imani stayed near the doorway. Nathan closed the curtains. Start talking. Celeste poured water. Samuel worked for Nathan's father. Nathan frowned. My father. He handled private investigations. Imani stared at her. My father repaired elevators. That's what he told you. Nathan looked at Celeste. What kind of investigations? The kind families like yours don't put on payroll. My father died 12 years ago. Samuel died 16 years ago. Celeste looked at Imani. Did he? Imani stepped forward. I saw his coffin. You saw a closed coffin. Imani's pulse jumped. What are you saying? I'm saying Samuel disappeared after he stole something. My father wasn't a thief. Then why did men follow you tonight? Nathan interrupted. What did he steal? Celeste looked at the watch. A key. Imani looked down. It's a watch. No. It's a lock. Nathan stared at her. Open it. I don't know how. Celeste moved toward her. Give it to me. Imani stepped back. Nathan blocked Celeste. You're done giving orders. The watch had belonged to Samuel for as long as Imani remembered. Heavy silver case. Black face. No brand name. One scratch near the crown. She pressed the crown. Nothing. Twisted it. Nothing. Then she remembered something. Her father used to tap the face twice before removing it at night. Imani tapped the glass. Click. The back popped open. Inside was no battery. A tiny brass disc rested beneath the mechanism. Nathan took a breath. Celeste whispered. He kept it. Imani lifted the disc. Numbers were engraved around its edge. 17, 4, 26. Nathan stared. April 17, 26. Celeste shook her head. Not a date. Mrs. Ellis appeared in the doorway. It's a vault sequence. Celeste went white. Nathan frowned. You know this too. I knew Samuel. Imani's stomach dropped. How? He saved my husband's life. Nathan stared at her. My housekeeper knew a private investigator my father used. Mrs. Ellis closed the door. Your father didn't hire Samuel. Then who did? Your mother. Nathan's face emptied. My mother died when I was 9. Mrs. Ellis nodded. Before she died, she believed someone inside Cole Industries was moving money through a private medical charity. Celeste looked toward the hallway. Nathan saw it. What does your family have to do with that? Celeste answered quietly. My father was on the charity board. Imani looked between them. And Samuel found something. Mrs. Ellis nodded. He found names. What names? People who were supposed to be dead. Nathan's phone buzzed. Another message. Don't open Vault 17. Nathan showed them. Celeste whispered. We need to leave. Nathan looked at Mrs. Ellis. Where is Vault 17? She hesitated. Under the old greenhouse. Celeste snapped. No. Nathan turned. You've been there. Celeste said nothing. The four crossed the rear hall toward the greenhouse. At the far end, Mrs. Ellis moved a stone planter. A keypad appeared in the floor. Nathan entered April 17, 26. A green light flashed. The floor unlocked. A narrow staircase descended beneath the greenhouse. Imani looked at Nathan. You still want to know who I am? He looked at the watch. I think I'm starting to. They went down. At the bottom was a steel vault door. The brass disc fit perfectly into a circular slot. Imani inserted it. The door opened. Inside were paper files, old hard drives, photographs, and one black case. Nathan picked up the nearest folder. Cole Charity. Deceased beneficiaries. He opened it. Payment records. Millions moved into accounts belonging to people who had supposedly died. Imani searched the shelves. Then she saw a label. Brooks, Samuel. Her hand shook. Inside was a photograph of her father taken 14 years after his funeral. Older. Alive. Standing beside Nathan's mother. Nathan caught her arm. No. Then the black case on the table began ringing. Built-in speaker. Imani pressed the button. A man's voice filled the vault. Imani. Her breath stopped. She knew that voice. Even after 16 years. Dad. Celeste closed her eyes. Nathan stared at Imani. Samuel Brooks spoke again. If you opened the vault, Celeste failed. Imani looked at her. Failed at what? Samuel answered. Keeping Nathan from learning who his fiancée really works for. The lights went out. Emergency red lamps came on. The vault door slammed shut. Celeste whispered, he knows. Nathan grabbed her shoulders. Who? A heavy knock sounded from the other side of the steel door. 3 times. Then a man outside said, Open up, Nathan. Nathan went pale. Imani looked at him. You know that voice. Nathan stared at the door. My father. And outside. The dead man slowly began entering the final vault code himself. Nathan stared at the steel door. My father. Imani looked at him. You said he was dead. I watched them bury him. Another digit beeped outside. Celeste backed into the shelves. We have 30 seconds. Nathan turned on her. You knew he was alive. No. I knew someone was using his credentials. I didn't know it was him. Mrs. Ellis whispered. Richard Cole never trusted death to keep him safe. Imani faced the speaker. Dad. Are you there? Dadik answered. Then Samuel's voice returned. Imani, do not let Richard take the watch. The final digit beeped. The vault door unlocked. Nathan stepped in front of Imani. The door opened. Richard Cole stood outside. Older than his photographs. Gray-haired. But unmistakable. He smiled. Hello, son. Nathan didn't move. You let me believe you were dead. Richard glanced at Celeste. She was supposed to make sure you never came down here. Nathan looked at his fiancée. Celeste's face collapsed. I was trying to keep him away from you. Richard laughed. You were trying to keep your father out of prison. Imani stepped forward. Where is Samuel Brooks? Richard's eyes moved to the watch. Wrong question. What's the right one? Why did your father choose you? 2 men appeared behind Richard. Private security. Nathan blocked the doorway. You're not taking anything. Richard smiled. This vault belongs to me. Mrs. Ellis answered. No. It belonged to Evelyn Cole. Nathan looked at her. My mother. She created the charity investigation. Samuel protected the evidence. Richard's jaw tightened. Enough. One guard reached for Imani. Nathan shoved his arm away. Richard raised a hand. No violence. Imani laughed. You followed me across the city. That was Celeste's father's people. Celeste stared. My father. Richard looked at her. You don't know how deep your family is in this. Nathan turned. What does that mean? Richard walked toward the black case. The charity was a laundering network created by Victor Marlowe and Cole executives. Your mother discovered it. Then why were you involved? I was trying to dismantle it. Mrs. Ellis shook her head. No, Evelyn trusted you. Then she disappeared. Nathan's voice dropped. Disappeared. Richard looked at him. She didn't die in the accident. Nathan went pale. Imani felt the room tilt. First Samuel, then Richard, now Evelyn. Richard opened the black case. Inside was a recorder. He pressed play. Evelyn Cole's voice filled the vault. If you're hearing this, Richard found the archive. Do not trust him. Richard stopped it. Nathan stared at him. You said you were dismantling it. I was. Then why did she say that? Because she didn't know who to trust. Imani noticed Celeste reaching toward a cabinet. Don't. Celeste froze. Imani opened it. Inside was a passport. Celeste Marlowe. Second passport. Celeste Cole. Nathan stared. Why does this say Cole? Celeste began crying. I can explain. Richard smiled. Finally. Nathan picked up the passport. Why? Celeste looked at Richard. Victor Marlowe isn't my biological father. Silence. Nathan whispered. Who is? Celeste pointed at Richard. Nathan stepped back. No. Richard didn't deny it. Celeste looked at Nathan. I found out 6 months before our engagement. You're my sister. Half-sister. Nathan dropped the passport. Mrs. Ellis covered her mouth. Imani stared at Celeste. That's why you kept him away from the vault. Celeste shook her head. I was trying to stop the marriage before he found out publicly. Nathan's face hardened. You could have told me. I was terrified. Richard interrupted. Victor told her that if Nathan learned the truth, Samuel Brooks would release everything. Imani looked at the speaker. Dad has the evidence. Yes. Where? The vault lights flickered. A hidden screen came alive. Samuel appeared on video. Live. Beside him stood Evelyn Cole. Nathan grabbed the table. Mom. Evelyn looked into the camera. Nathan, if you see this. Richard reached Vault 17. Richard turned pale. Samuel held up a folder. Everything is here. Charity accounts. Fake death. Identity changes. Payments. Imani stepped closer. Dad, where are you? Samuel looked at her. Closer than you think. The feed changed. Camera showed the room outside the vault. Everyone turned. A second steel door opened behind Richard. Samuel Brooks stepped through. Older. Live. Imani stopped breathing. He looked at her. I'm sorry it took 16 years. Evelyn appeared behind him. Nathan whispered, Mom. Richard reached inside his coat. Samuel shouted, Don't. A gun appeared in Richard's hand. He aimed at the black case. Nobody leaves with those files. Nathan moved toward Richard, but Imani caught his sleeve. Samuel shook his head once. Whatever happened next had to expose the truth, not bury it again tonight. Imani looked at her father. Samuel looked back. And for the first time she understood his warning. Some doors were safer closed. But this one had already opened. Richard's gun remained aimed at the black case. Put it down, Nathan said. Richard smiled without looking at him. You still think this is about money? Samuel stepped forward. It stopped being about money the day Evelyn discovered the names. Richard's eyes narrowed. You should have stayed hidden. Imani looked at her father. 16 years. You let me think you were dead. Samuel's face broke. I know. Why? Because Victor Marlowe was watching everyone connected to me. If he believed I was alive, he would have used you to find this vault. Celeste whispered. He used me instead. Evelyn stepped beside Samuel. And Richard let him. Nathan stared at his father. You worked with Victor. Richard finally lowered the gun slightly. I worked with anyone necessary to keep Cole Industries alive. Evelyn answered. You mean to keep yourself in control? Imani noticed the black case was already open. Inside, beside the recorder, sat a small transmitter blinking green. Samuel saw her looking. He nodded once. The files are already gone. Richard froze. What? Uploaded to federal investigators the second the vault opened. Richard raised the gun. Nathan moved first. He struck Richard's wrist aside. The shot hit the ceiling. Samuel tackled one guard while Mrs. Ellis slammed the emergency alarm. Imani pulled Celeste behind a steel cabinet as the second guard reached for the black case. Celeste shoved the case toward Imani. "Take it." Imani caught it and ran toward the side passage. The guard followed, then stopped. Federal agents flooded the corridor. Within seconds, both guards were on the floor. Richard tried to run through the greenhouse stairs. Nathan blocked him. For a long moment, father and son stood face to face. Richard looked exhausted rather than powerful. "You'll destroy everything I built." Nathan shook his head. "No. I'm finally finding out what you built it on." Agents arrested Richard. By sunrise, Victor Marlowe was taken into custody at his home. The charity network had used fake deaths, shell accounts, and stolen identities to move millions for more than 20 years. Evelyn's evidence proved Richard and Victor had helped create the system, then turned on each other when Samuel uncovered it. Celeste gave investigators everything she knew. The engagement ended that morning. Nathan did not shout. He simply removed the ring from her hand and said, "We should never have been engaged in the first place." Celeste nodded through tears. "I know." Weeks later, Samuel returned home publicly. Imani did not forgive him immediately. He never asked her to. They started with coffee, then dinner, then the truth, one painful piece at a time. Evelyn reunited with Nathan and helped rebuild the Cole charity under independent oversight. Mrs. Ellis stayed exactly where she had always been. And Imani, Nathan offered her a large settlement. She refused. Then he offered her a permanent role overseeing staff safety and internal ethics. She accepted that. Months later, Imani stood outside Cole Manor after a late shift. A black sedan pulled up. Nathan opened the rear door. She laughed. "Not this again." He smiled. "Wrong car. Wrong billionaire." He raised an eyebrow. Imani stepped inside. This time she knew exactly whose car it was. And as the sedan pulled away, she looked at the silver watch on her wrist. The mistake that had once terrified her had led straight to the truth, restored 2 broken families, exposed 20 years of lies, and finally gave her answer she had spent half her life seeking. Not because she entered the wrong car. Because, for once, she had ended up exactly where she needed to be.